Something important. That evening, Lisa sat in her new quarters aboard the Defense Force cruiser Horizon. She was sipping coffee while Storm explored their new living space. Through the ship's viewports, she could see the stars wheeling past as they traveled to their first mission. Her communication system chimed with an incoming message. It was from Zexthul, sending greetings from his new assignment. The message inky, Maya Rodriguez stepped off the transport ship and onto the metal floor of the big space cruiser called Starfall. Her heavy black boots made loud sounds as she walked. All around her, strange alien creatures stopped what they were doing to look at her. She had never seen so many different types of beings in one place before. The ship was huge and clean. Everything was white and silver, and bright lights made it easy to see everywhere. Maya carried a small bag with her things and held her official papers in her hand. She was nervous but tried not to show it. This was her first time working with aliens from other planets. Commander Zethkar was a tall blue creature with 4 arms and scales covering his skin. He was the leader of this ship. He looked at Maya for just a second, then went back to reading something on his small computer screen. He did not seem happy to see her. "So the Federation sends us a human from a Deathworld," he said in a cold voice. His words sounded sharp and unfriendly. How interesting. Maya knew what he meant. Earth and the other human worlds were called Deathworlds because they were dangerous places to live. The weather was bad, the animals were deadly, and everything tried to kill you. Most aliens thought this made humans wild and stupid. They believed humans were not smart enough to live in space with civilized beings. Maya held out her papers to the commander. "Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez reporting for duty, sir," she said in a clear voice. She had practiced this moment many times. Commander Zethkar took the papers with one of his 4 hands. He looked at them quickly and made a sound like he was not impressed. "A human soldier," he said to the other aliens nearby. "I wonder if she knows how to behave around real people." A strange insect-like creature with 6 legs walked closer to Maya. This was Clickthera, the science officer. She had big eyes and made clicking sounds when she talked. "Very interesting," she said, looking at Maya like she was studying a bug. "Her bones are much thicker than ours. Her muscles are bigger too. This is normal for Deathworld creatures." Maya tried to stay calm. She had heard these things before at the Space Academy. Humans were different from other space people. They were stronger and could heal faster, but the aliens thought this made them primitive and violent. "All Deathworlders are the same," said Torgan, a huge gray alien with thick skin like rock. He was the second in command of the ship. "They fight too much and think too little. They are barely better than wild animals, but maybe we can find some use for her." Maya felt angry but did not let it show on her face. She had been dealing with people who did not like her all her life. Growing up on New Texas, the second human colony world, had taught her to be tough. Every day on that planet was a fight to stay alive. The storms could kill you, the animals could eat you, and the ground could swallow you up. But she had survived, and that made her strong. "I am here to do my job," Maya said simply. "I will follow orders and do my best to help this crew." Commander Zethkar made a laughing sound that did not sound happy. "We will see about that. Humans think they are tough, but space is different from your little mudball planets. Out here, we need people who can think, not just fight." Maya wanted to tell him that humans could think just fine, but she kept quiet. Her mission was important. The human government had sent her here to prove that humans deserve to be full members of the Federation. If she caused trouble on her first day, she would fail before she even started. "Show her to her room," Commander Zethkar told Torgan, "and make sure she understands the rules. I do not want any Deathworlder problems on my ship." Torgan nodded and started walking. Maya followed him through the long hallways of the ship. Other aliens stopped to stare at her as she passed. Some looked curious, others looked afraid, and many looked disgusted. She heard them whispering about her in their different languages. "Your room is here," Torgan said, stopping at a small door. "Do not touch anything you do not understand. Do not fight with the other crew members. Do not cause any trouble. If you do, the commander will send you back to your Deathworld in pieces." Maya nodded. "I understand." "I hope you do," Torgan said. "Humans have a bad reputation. You are violent and unpredictable. Everyone knows this. You will have to work twice as hard as everyone else to prove you belong here." After Torgan left, Maya went into her small room and sat on the bed. The room was tiny but clean. There was a bed, a desk, a chair, and a small bathroom. She put her bag down and looked at herself in the mirror. Her long red-brown hair was braided in the military style she had worn since joining the Space Forces. Her green eyes looked tired but determined. She thought about her home on New Texas. The planet was beautiful but deadly. Giant storms would appear without warning and destroy whole cities. The native animals were huge and hungry, always looking for something to eat. The plants were poisonous and even the water could kill you if you were not careful. But it was her home and she loved it. Living on New Texas had made her strong and fast. She could run for hours without getting tired. She could fight with her hands or with weapons. She could survive in places that would kill most people. But the aliens did not see these as good things. They saw them as proof that humans were not civilized. Maya knew she had to change their minds. The Federation was a group of planets that worked together to explore space and keep peace. Humans wanted to join, but most aliens thought they were too dangerous. If Maya could prove that humans were good people who could be trusted, it would help all of humanity. She unpacked her things and got ready for her first day of real work. Tomorrow she would start her duties as a security officer. She would show these aliens that humans were not just strong and tough, but also smart and reliable. She would make them see that being from a death world was not something to be ashamed of. Maya looked at her reflection one more time. "You can do this," she said quietly to herself. "You have survived worse things than alien prejudice." She was right, but she had no idea how much worse things were about to get. The next morning, Maya woke up early and spent time getting ready. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw someone different from yesterday. Her short hair made her face look stronger and more serious. She looked like someone you would not want to fight. Maya put on her best uniform and made sure everything was perfect. She brushed her teeth, combed her hair, and practiced what she was going to say. Today was going to be very important. She had to get everything exactly right. She walked through the hallways of the ship toward Commander Zethkar's office. Other crew members saw her coming and moved out of her way. Something about the way she walked made them nervous. Her footsteps sounded different, harder and more determined. Maya stopped at the commander's door and knocked 3 times. She heard his voice tell her to come in. She opened the door and stepped inside. The office was big and fancy, with expensive decorations from different worlds. Commander Zethkar was sitting behind his desk, reading reports on his computer. "Commander," Maya said in a formal voice, "I need to speak with you about an important matter." Commander Zethkar looked up from his computer. When he saw Maya's new haircut, he smiled a little. He seemed pleased with what he had done. "Ah, the Deathworlder. I see you found a barber. Much better. You almost look civilized now." Maya ignored his comment. She reached into her pocket and pulled out an official document. She had spent most of the night writing it and making sure all the legal language was correct. She placed it on his desk. "Commander, I am here to invoke Article 47 of the Federation Military Code," she said. Commander Zethkar's smile disappeared. He picked up the document and read the title. His 4 eyes went wide with surprise. "Article 47, the right to formal combat resolution? You cannot be serious." "I'm completely serious, sir," Maya said. Her voice was calm and steady. "You committed an unprovoked assault against a fellow officer. Federation law gives me the right to seek satisfaction through sanctioned combat." Commander Zethkar read the document more carefully. Article 47 was an old law that most people had forgotten about. It was created in the early days of the Federation, when different species had very different ideas about honor and justice. The law allowed officers to resolve serious disputes through formal combat when normal punishment was not enough. "This is ridiculous," Commander Zethkar said, but Maya could hear uncertainty in his voice. "I simply trimmed your hair. That hardly seems worthy of—" "In human culture," Maya interrupted, "forcibly cutting someone's hair is considered assault and a serious violation of personal dignity. You did this in a public place with clear intent to humiliate and shame me. I consider this a matter of honor that requires satisfaction." At that moment, Torgan appeared in the doorway. He had been listening to their conversation. When he heard what Maya was saying, he began to laugh. His deep voice boomed through the office. "Honor?" he said between laughs. "A Deathworlder talking about honor? This is the funniest thing I have heard in years." But Commander Zethkar was not laughing. He was reading the document very carefully, checking every word. As a Velkarin, he came from a culture that valued martial skill and personal honor. His people were known throughout the Federation as some of the finest warriors in space. Their four-armed fighting style was famous and feared. The idea that a human would challenge him to combat was almost insulting. Humans were supposed to be crude brawlers who relied on strength instead of skill. They were not supposed to understand concepts like honor and formal combat. This challenge went against everything he believed about Deathworlders, but the law was clear. Article 47 was still valid and Maya had followed all the proper procedures. If she wanted formal combat, he had to either accept or find a legal reason to refuse, and as a Velkaran warrior, refusing a combat challenge would bring shame to his entire family line. You do realize, Commander Zethkar said slowly, that if I accept this challenge I could seriously injure you? Velkaran combat techniques are designed to disable or kill opponents quickly and efficiently. Maya nodded. I understand the risks, Commander. Do you accept the challenge or not? Commander Zethkar looked at the document again. His pride was at stake now. If word got out that he had refused a combat challenge from a human, he would be laughed at by every Velkoran in the Federation. His military career would be over. Very well, he said finally. I accept your challenge. We will fight according to traditional Federation combat rules. Each participant may choose their preferred weapons, but no protective armor beyond basic safety equipment. The combat will take place in the ship's arena tomorrow at 1800 hours. Maya bowed slightly. Thank you, Commander. I will be ready. As Maya turned to leave, Torgan stepped in front of her. His huge gray body blocked the doorway completely. Are you insane? He asked. Do you have any idea what you have just done? I have challenged someone who disrespected me to honorable combat, Maya said simply. This is what any warrior would do. Warrior? Torgan laughed again. You are not a warrior. You are a Deathworlder who got lucky enough to join the Space Forces. Commander Zethkar has been fighting since before you were born. He has defeated opponents from dozens of different worlds. You are going to be destroyed. Maya looked up at the huge alien. Even though he was twice her size and probably 3 times her weight, she did not look afraid. We will see, she said. Word of the challenge spread through the ship very quickly. By lunchtime, everyone knew that the human lieutenant had challenged Commander Zethkar to formal combat. Most of the crew thought Maya had lost her mind. They made bets on how long she would last before being defeated. Clicthera found Maya in the ship's library that afternoon. The insect-like science officer was very curious about human behavior, and this seemed like a perfect chance to study it up close. Lieutenant Rodriguez, she said, clicking her mandibles together nervously. I must ask, why are you doing this? Surely you know you cannot win. Maya was reading about Velkaran fighting techniques on the computer. She did not look up when Clicthera spoke. I am doing this because it is the right thing to do, she said. But you will be hurt very badly, Clicthera said. Perhaps even killed. Is your hair really worth dying for? Maya finally looked up from her reading. Her green eyes were calm and focused. This is not about my hair, she said. This is about respect. Commander Zethkar thinks he can treat me however he wants because I am human. He thinks I am weak and stupid and will not fight back. Tomorrow I will show him that he is wrong. But the odds are impossible, Clicthera said. Commander Zethkar is one of the finest warriors in the Federation. He has 4 arms and years of training. You are just one small human. Maya smiled for the first time since her hair was cut. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret that others did not. Clicthera, she said quietly. You do not understand what it means to be from a death world. Every day of my life I have faced things that wanted to kill me. I have survived storms that could tear apart buildings. I have fought animals that could eat a Velkaran for lunch. I have learned to be fast and strong and smart, because being slow or weak or stupid means death. She stood up and closed the computer. Commander Zethkar may be a great warrior by Federation standards, but Federation standards are based on civilized worlds where the biggest danger is running out of coffee. I come from a place where everything is trying to kill you, and only the strongest survive. Maya walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. Tomorrow, Commander Zethkar will learn what it really means to fight a Deathworlder. The next day passed slowly for everyone on the ship. Word of the fight had spread to every crew member, and by 1800 hours, nearly everyone had gathered to watch. The ship's combat arena was packed with aliens from many different worlds. They all wanted to see what would happen when a human fought a Velkaran warrior. Most of the crew had made bets on the fight. The odds were heavily in favor of Commander Zethkar. Some people bet on how long Maya would last, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, or less. A few cruel ones bet on what body part would be broken first. Nobody thought Maya could actually win. The arena was a large round room with high walls and bright lights. The floor was made of a special material that would not break when weapons hit it. There were seats around the edge where people could watch safely. Energy barriers would protect the audience if the fighting got too wild. Dr. Healer Mendax was ready with medical equipment. She was a gentle creature from a peaceful world who hated violence. But Federation law required a medical officer to be present during formal combat. She hoped she would not have to work too hard today. Maya entered the arena at exactly 1800 hours. She wore simple black fighting clothes and flexible boots. Her short hair was pulled back from her face. She carried 2 weapons, a standard Federation combat knife and a longer curved sword that most aliens had never seen before. "What kind of weapon is that?" asked one of the spectators. Click Thera had been studying human culture since the challenge was announced. "It is called a katana," she explained. "An ancient human sword design. Very primitive, but some humans still use them for ceremonial purposes." "Ceremonial?" Another alien laughed. "She brought a decoration to a real fight?" Commander Zethkar entered from the opposite side of the arena. He looked magnificent in his ceremonial Velcoran armor. The blue metal plates gleamed under the lights and ancient symbols were carved into the chest piece. He carried 4 weapons, 1 in each hand. His primary weapons were energy-enhanced combat blades that glowed with deadly power. His secondary hands held traditional Velcoran hook swords with curved blades designed to trap enemy weapons. The difference between the 2 fighters was obvious to everyone watching. Commander Zethkar was tall and powerful, with 4 arms that could attack from multiple angles at once. His armor would protect him from most weapons. His energy blades could cut through almost anything. Maya looked small and fragile by comparison. She had no armor except her simple clothes. Her weapons looked old and primitive next to the commander's advanced technology. Many spectators felt sorry for her. Torgan served as the official judge for the combat. He stood at the edge of the arena and spoke in a loud voice that everyone could hear. "This is formal combat under Article 47 of the Federation Military Code. The fight continues until one participant yields, is unable to continue, or is killed. Medical intervention is allowed only after the combat ends." He looked at both fighters. "Do you both understand the rules?" "I understand," Commander Zethkar said confidently. "I understand," Maya said calmly. "Any last words?" Torgan asked Maya. "This is your final chance to withdraw with honor." Commander Zethkar smiled mockingly. "Yes, Deathworlder. Last chance to avoid serious injury. I have no wish to hurt a fellow officer over such a small matter." Maya's response surprised everyone. She bowed formally to Commander Zethkar, a gesture of respect that seemed out of place in this hostile situation. "In my culture," she said clearly, "we honor our opponents before combat, even the foolish ones." Some aliens in the audience gasped at her boldness. Commander Zethkar's blue face turned darker with anger. How dare this primitive human call him foolish? "Begin!" Torgan shouted. Commander Zethkar immediately launched into the traditional Velcoran opening attack sequence. All 4 weapons moved in a coordinated pattern that had been perfected over thousands of years. It was like watching a deadly dance. The energy blades left trails of light in the air as they spun and slashed. The hook swords moved in complicated circles designed to confuse and overwhelm opponents. It was a beautiful and terrifying display of martial skill. The crowd watched in amazement as Commander Zethkar showed why Velcoran warriors were famous throughout the galaxy. His forearms moved independently but in perfect harmony, creating a wall of spinning death that no opponent should be able to survive. But when the attack reached where Maya had been standing, she was not there anymore. Maya moved like water flowing around rocks. Where Commander Zethkar expected to find resistance, he found empty air. The human woman slipped around his attacks with movements that seemed to defy physics. Her short hair whipped around her face as she ducked and weaved and sidestepped with impossible grace. "This cannot be happening," muttered one of the spectators. "Deathworlders are supposed to be slow and clumsy." "Look at her move," whispered another. "She is not even breathing hard." Commander Zethkar pressed his attack, moving faster and using more complex combinations. But no matter how fast he moved or how cleverly he attacked, he could not touch Maya. She flowed around his weapons like she could see the future and knew exactly where each blade would be. Maya's katana remained in its sheath on her back. She held only the small Federation knife in her left hand, using it occasionally to deflect a strike that came too close. But mostly she just moved, studying her opponent, learning his patterns, waiting for the right moment. "Fight back, coward," Commander Zethkar roared. His attacks were becoming wilder and less controlled. Sweat was starting to form on his blue skin. Fighting with 4 weapons at once required enormous energy, and Maya was making him work much harder than he had expected. "Stand still and fight like a warrior," he shouted again. Maya's voice was calm when she replied, "As you wish." What happened next lasted only a few seconds, but everyone who watched it would remember it for the rest of their lives. The moment would be studied and analyzed by military experts throughout Federation space for years to come. Maya suddenly stopped moving away from Commander Zethkar's attacks. Instead, she stepped forward, moving inside his guard where his long weapons could not be used effectively. Her right hand reached back and drew the katana in one fluid motion that was almost too fast to see. The ancient human sword sang through the air in a perfect arc that somehow passed between all 4 of Commander Zethkar's weapons. The blade moved with surgical precision, guided by reflexes that had been trained since childhood on a world where a single mistake meant death. The katana connected with Commander Zethkar's upper left arm, just below the shoulder joint. The razor-sharp steel, folded and refolded by human craftsmen centuries ago, sliced through Velcarin flesh and bone like they were made of soft cheese. Commander Zethkar's arm fell to the arena floor with a wet thudding sound. The energy blade it had been holding clattered beside it, its glow fading as it lost contact with its wielder. Automatic medical systems immediately sealed the wound with special foam to prevent dangerous blood loss. But the damage was done. The mighty Velcarin warrior, pride of his species and terror of his enemies, collapsed to one knee. He stared at his severed limb lying on the ground, unable to believe what had just happened. Around the arena, complete silence reigned. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody could believe what they had just seen. Maya cleaned her blade on a cloth from her pocket and returned it to its sheath with the same smooth motion she had used to draw it. Then she walked over to where her severed braid still lay on the arena floor from the previous evening's humiliation. She picked up the auburn hair and looked at it for a moment. Then she looked directly at Commander Zethkar, who was still kneeling on the ground in shock. "In human culture," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's speakers, "hair grows back." She held up the braid so everyone could see it, then looked back at the defeated Velcarin commander. "Arms do not." Maya turned away from the defeated commander and faced the crowd of aliens watching from the arena seats. Her green eyes swept across their faces, seeing shock, fear, and amazement. She had their complete attention now. For the first time since joining the ship, every alien was listening to what she had to say. "My name is Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez," she said in a clear, strong voice. "I am from a world that has tried to kill me every single day for 26 years. I survived because I learned that there is no shame in being underestimated. The shame comes only when you fail to prove your worth when the moment arrives." She began walking toward the arena exit, moving with the same fluid grace she had shown during the fight, but she stopped before reaching the door and looked back at Commander Zethkar. The medical team was working on him now, preparing to reattach his severed arm. "Your limb can be restored within the next 6 hours with full function returned," Maya said matter-of-factly. "I recommend you do this quickly. The longer you wait, the more difficult the procedure becomes." She paused and studied the fallen Velcarin warrior for a moment longer. "And Commander, the next time you feel the urge to civilize a Deathworlder, remember that we earned our reputation honestly. We did not become known as dangerous because we are primitive. We became known as dangerous because we are survivors." As Maya walked out of the arena, the silence finally broke. Suddenly, everyone was talking at once in a dozen different languages, but one phrase was repeated in every tongue, translated and whispered and shouted throughout the crowd: "Never underestimate a human." In the days that followed, the story of the fight spread throughout the Federation fleet. The official report stated only that Lieutenant Rodriguez had successfully invoked Article 47, and that Commander Zethkar had been injured during the combat, but was expected to make a full recovery. But unofficial versions of the story grew with each telling. Some versions claimed that Maya had moved so fast she became invisible. Others said that she had predicted every one of the commander's attacks before he made them. A few stories insisted that she had cut off his arm with a single stroke while blindfolded. None of these versions were true, but they all carried the same message. Humans were far more dangerous than anyone had realized. Maya returned to her normal duties as if nothing had changed. She completed her security rounds, filed her reports, and followed orders just as she had before. But everything was different now. The other crew members no longer whispered jokes about Deathworlders when she passed by. They no longer gave her the worst assignments or questioned her competence. Most importantly, they no longer treated her like she did not belong. Clicthera approached Maya in the ship's cafeteria 3 days after the fight. The insect-like science officer seemed nervous, clicking her mandibles together rapidly as she spoke. "Lieutenant Rodriguez," she said hesitantly, "I wanted to apologize for my previous behavior. I made assumptions about your capabilities based on incomplete data. This was unscientific and unprofessional." Maya looked up from her meal. "Apology accepted, Clicthera. We all make mistakes when we encounter something new. I have been studying human history since the combat," Clicthera continued. "I am beginning to understand why your species developed such remarkable fighting abilities. Your world truly is one of the most hostile environments in known space." "New Texas is dangerous," Maya agreed, "but it taught me valuable lessons. The most important lesson is that survival depends not just on strength but on adaptability. Those who cannot change do not live long." Clicthera nodded, her compound eyes reflecting the cafeteria lights. "This explains much about your performance against Commander Zethkar. You adapted to his fighting style while he remained locked in traditional patterns." Maya smiled slightly. It was the first genuinely warm expression she had shown since joining the crew. "Velkaran martial arts are beautiful and effective against most opponents, but they are designed for honorable combat between civilized beings who follow predictable rules. I come from a place where there are no rules except survival." Commander Zethkar returned to duty 5 days after the fight. His arm had been successfully reattached and showed no signs of permanent damage. But something fundamental had changed about him. He no longer strutted around the ship like he owned it. He no longer made jokes about primitive Deathworlders. When he gave Maya orders, he did so with the same professional respect he showed to other officers. The first time they worked together after the fight was during a routine security drill. Maya expected awkwardness or hostility, but instead found something unexpected: genuine respect. "Your technique was flawless," Commander Zethkar said quietly when they were alone. "I have never seen anyone move like that." "Where did you learn to fight with such skill?" Maya considered her answer carefully. "I learned from my father, who learned from his father before him. Our family has practiced the old fighting ways for many generations. But mostly I learned from necessity. On New Texas, you fight well or you die young." Commander Zethkar flexed his reattached arm, testing its movement. "I underestimated you completely. I thought Deathworlders were crude savages who relied only on brute strength. I was wrong." "Many people make that mistake," Maya said. "They see our dangerous worlds and assume we must be dangerous people. But surviving on a Deathworld requires intelligence, discipline, and skill. These are not savage qualities." "No," Commander Zethkar agreed. "They are not." 2 weeks after the fight, Maya received new orders. She was being transferred to Federation Command Headquarters for a special assignment. The news surprised everyone on the ship, but Maya had been expecting it. Word of her combat victory had reached the highest levels of Federation leadership. Torgan came to see her off when the transport arrived. The huge gray alien no longer treated her with contempt or amusement. His attitude had changed completely since the fight. "I owe you an apology, Lieutenant," he said formally. "I judged you based on prejudice and ignorance. You have shown me that humans deserve respect and recognition within the Federation." Maya shook his massive hand. "No apology needed, Torgan. We all carry preconceptions about other species. The important thing is being willing to change when we learn new information." "What will you do at Federation headquarters?" Torgan asked. Maya smiled mysteriously. "I am told they want me to help develop new training programs. Apparently there is growing interest in teaching Federation officers how to work effectively with humans. They think my experience might be valuable." As the transport prepared to leave, Maya took one last look around the ship that had been her home for the past month. She thought about everything that had happened, the prejudice she had faced, the humiliation she had endured, and the respect she had finally earned. Her hair had grown a little longer but was still much shorter than it had been before Commander Zethkar cut it. She had gotten used to the new style and decided she liked it. It made her look more serious and professional. More importantly, it reminded her daily that sometimes the greatest victories come not from avoiding conflict, but from facing it with courage and skill. 6 months later, Maya received word that Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez had been promoted and assigned to lead the Federation's first integrated human-alien special operations unit. Her training programs had become mandatory for all Federation officers working with human personnel. Commander Zethkar had requested a transfer to a research vessel far from human space. Before leaving, he sent Maya a message. Respect the Deathworlders. Respect them, or they will teach you respect in ways you will never forget. The formal challenge had become required reading at Federation military academies, studied not as an example of violence, but as a lesson about the dangers of prejudice and the importance of understanding the cultures you serve alongside. Maya kept her severed braid in a place of honor in her new office, mounted in a frame beside her commendations and awards. It served as a reminder that sometimes the most civilized response to barbarism is to show exactly what civilization really means, and that sometimes the best way to prove you belong is to demonstrate that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. The galaxy was learning to see humans differently now. They were no longer just crude Deathworlders who had gotten lucky. They were survivors, warriors, and valued members of the galactic community. Maya had played a part in changing those perceptions, one severed arm at a time, and throughout Federation space, a new saying began to spread among the various species. It is better to respect a human than to learn why you should have. Katie Morrison stepped off the transport ship and felt her stomach drop. The Galactic Defense Academy stretched out before her like a metal city floating in space. Massive towers twisted upward into the artificial sky, connected by bridges that glowed with alien lights. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at ports along the station's outer ring. She had never seen anything so big or so strange. Her boots clicked on the metal floor as she walked through the arrival bay. Other cadets moved around her in groups, talking in languages that sounded like music, grinding stones or electronic beeps. Most of them were twice her size. Some had 4 arms, others had skin that looked like tree bark, and a few floated in the air without touching the ground at all. Katie pulled her bag closer to her chest. She was the only human on the station. Earth had just joined the Galactic Council 6 months ago, and she was part of the first exchange program. Everyone back home called her lucky. Right now she felt anything but lucky. "You must be the human," said a voice behind her. Katie turned to see a creature that looked like it was made of living metal. Its voice sounded like coins dropping into a jar. "I am Cadet Finn 12. I will show you to the dormitories." Katie nodded and followed Finn 12 through the corridors. The walls were covered with symbols she couldn't read, and screens showing information in alien languages. Other cadets stopped talking when she walked by. Some pointed at her. Others just stared. "They are curious about you," Finn 12 explained. "Humans are new to the galaxy. Most of us have never seen one before." "What have you heard about us?" Katie asked. Finn 12 was quiet for a moment. "That your world is classified as a death world. That it is too dangerous for most species to visit. But you seem quite harmless." Katie wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a compliment. The dormitory was a long room filled with beds designed for different body types. Some were tubes filled with liquid. Others were flat surfaces covered in sand, and a few looked almost normal. Katie's bed was in the corner, small and plain compared to the others. "Orientation begins in 1 hour, Finn 12 said. "Do not be late. Commander Zeth Kohler does not tolerate delays." Katie unpacked her few belongings and tried not to think about home. Her parents had been so proud when she was selected for the program. Her little brother Jake had made her promise to bring back pictures of aliens. Now she wondered if she would even survive the first week. The orientation hall was enormous. Hundreds of cadets sat in rows organized by species. Katie sat alone in the human section, which was just one chair with a small flag showing Earth's blue and green surface. Commander Zeth Kohler walked onto the stage, and the room went silent. He was massive, even for his species. His body was covered in black armor that looked like it had grown from his skin. Scars covered his face and arms, telling stories of battles Katie couldn't imagine. His eyes glowed red in the dim light. "Welcome to the Galactic Defense Academy," he said. His voice was like gravel being crushed. "You are here because your worlds believe you have potential. I am here to prove them wrong." He walked across the stage, his heavy feet making the floor shake. "Most of you will fail. Some of you will be injured. A few of you might even die. This is not a school for children. This is a place where we forge the finest warriors in the galaxy." His red eyes found Katie in the crowd. We have a special guest this year, a human from the Deathworld called Earth. Let us see if the rumors about your species are true, or if you are just another weak creature that talks too much and fights too little." Several cadets turned to look at Katie. She felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. "Training begins at dawn," Commander Zeth Kohler continued. "You will be divided into squads of 8. Your squad leaders have been selected based on their previous performance and their species' natural command abilities." After the orientation, Katie tried to find the dining hall. The corridors all looked the same, and the signs were in alien languages. She got lost 3 times before another cadet took pity on her and showed her the way. The dining hall was chaos. Different species ate different foods, and the smells were overwhelming. Katie found a table in the corner and tried to figure out what human food might look like. Most of the options seemed to be moving. "You look lost," said a voice. Katie looked up to see a tall cadet with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am Rylox of the Vorthak Empire. You must be the human." "Katie Morrison," she said. Rylox sat down across from her. His armor was polished and perfect, unlike the scarred metal that Commander Zeth Kohler wore. "I have been selected to lead Squad 7. You will be under my command." Katie nodded. "I look forward to working with you." Rylox laughed, but it didn't sound friendly. "Do not mistake this for friendship, human. I requested specifically not to have you on my squad, but the commander insisted. He said it would be educational." "Educational?" "To see how quickly a Deathworld creature fails when faced with real military training." Rylox leaned forward. "Your planet may be dangerous, but that does not make you dangerous. I have studied your species. You are weak, slow, and your senses are limited. You will hold back my squad, and I will make sure everyone knows it." Katie felt something cold settle in her stomach. "I'll do my best not to disappoint you." "You already have," Rylox said, standing up. "Training starts in 6 hours. Do not be late." Katie watched him walk away, his forearms moving with perfect coordination. Around the dining hall, other cadets were forming groups and making friends. She ate alone, trying to ignore the stares and whispers. That night, she lay on her small bed and looked out the window at the stars. Earth was somewhere out there, a tiny blue dot in an ocean of darkness. She had trained for years to get here, pushing her body to limits that most humans never reached. But now she wondered if it had been enough. The other cadets saw her as weak and primitive. Commander Zeth Kohler seemed to view her as an amusing experiment. Even her own squad leader expected her to fail. Katie closed her eyes and tried to sleep. Tomorrow would bring her first day of real training. She had no idea what to expect, but she knew one thing for certain. She wasn't going to give up without a fight. The humans had not survived on a Deathworld by being weak. They had survived by being stubborn, adaptable, and absolutely refusing to quit when things got difficult. Katie Morrison was about to show the galaxy what that meant.